There are worse ways to wake up. On fire, for one. Drowning maybe. But waking up mid-prayer, in a temple full of expectant eyes, wearing what seemed to be a ceremonial robe. That's a solid top 3. I didn't scream, not out loud, but internally. I was composing the most eloquent chain of curses I would never say aloud. My throat was raw, apparently from chanting for hours, and my knees were going numb on a stone floor littered with petals. White petals, of course. The sunlight filtering through the stained glass struck me squarely in the face. I blinked, once, twice, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't my world. I was not in my apartment. Nor was I in the bus that had flipped after the idiot driver swerved to miss a deer, and sent us all spinning into a ditch. It wasn't my voice either. Softer, but cold, laced with something ancient and solemn, like I'd aged a century in a dream. I lifted my head slowly, and caught my reflection in the polished marble altar. Long white hair, golden eyes, a face that looked like it had been carved with care and cruelty by the gods themselves. Beautiful, ethereal, a little tragic, but definitely not mine. Saint Izar, someone murmured behind me, reverent and afraid all at once. The high priest awaits your final blessing. Saint? No, nope, absolutely not. That was my name, sure, but I hadn't signed up for sainthood. I wasn't even particularly spiritual. I'd always liked logic. Sharp, neat, undeniable logic. And now I was apparently a holy figurehead, in a world where the sun itself bowed at my feet. I slowly rose to my feet, hiding the fact that my legs were screaming. Right? I said, voice calm, distant. Let us not keep the high priest waiting. It was pure instinct, aloof, unreadable. My go-to expression when everything made no sense, and I needed time to think. I turned with practiced grace, thanks to who knows what muscle memory, and walked down the steps of the altar. Robes swishing like I knew how to wear them. The temple was a silent save for the soft rustling of robes and the occasional gasps. People were kneeling, crying, murmuring prayers like I was a walking miracle. I bit the inside of my cheek to keep from saying, "I'm not your saint," and blowing my cover. I dreaded that their reaction might be ugly. Besides, I didn't know who I could trust in this unfamiliar world. So, I continued faking and kept up the charade. I raised a hand and let golden threads of light swirl around my fingers. My face betrayed nothing, but inside, panic, screaming, existential dread. The light wasn't mine. I wasn't casting anything. It was like the body moved on its own, responding to some unseen script. A divine reflex. I played along, waved my hand slowly like I was blessing the air itself. The crowd swooned, but I didn't. I wanted no. I needed answers. That night I sat alone in the saint's private quarters, staring at myself in a gilded mirror, the candlelight painted gold over white, the kind of purity people romanticize but forget to question. Who the hell were you? I asked the reflection. I'd gathered enough. This world revered the saint, believed he could hear the will of their god, said he'd never sinned, never raised his voice, never doubted faith. And now I was him. I didn't feel divine. I didn't feel holy. I felt duped. They picked the wrong person. I scoffed quietly. I didn't know who summoned me or why. But I knew one thing. Someone up there, or down below, had made a mistake. A glorious blunder. A knock on the door snapped me out of my thoughts. Enter, I said coolly. A young priestess peeked in, wide eyes, trembling voice. Your Holiness, there's a dying child in the garden. They say only your blessing can bring him back. Of course there is. I stood. My movements had grown more fluid, less uncertain. Even without the original saint's memories, the body remembered. It obeyed. I walked into the moonlit garden, where the child lay, pale and still on a marble bench. People were watching, whispering, hoping. I knelt beside the boy, touched his forehead, cold, almost dead. I had no idea what I was doing, but the body did. The moment my fingers brushed the boy's skin, something ignited. Light, pure, blinding poured from my palm. His chest heaved. His eyes opened. The crowd gasped. Tears, cheers, murmured prayers. I stood without a word and walked away, my stomach twisted. Not with guilt, with uncertainty and curiosity. What happened to the original saint? Is he dead? And why am I in his body? I had too many questions, but no one to answer them. No one to guide me. Could have at least given me a system like in the novels. But no, I had to be thrown into hard mode. A week passed, a blur of ceremonies, rituals, and guessing games. I barely survived by mimicking the body's instincts and staying as quiet as possible. I passed every test with flying colors, more out of brooding silence than actual holiness. Then, one night, everything changed. I woke up gasping. My head was on fire. My mind split open like a dam, and memories flooded in. Not mine. His. The original Izar of this world. His life, his voice, his secrets, his sins. Saint, no, that was a convenient lie. A carefully curated mask. He wasn't a miracle. He was a prisoner. Trapped in a role he loathed. Muzzled by robes, surrounded by sycophants. Used as a weapon of divine propaganda. He knew too much, but was unable to save himself. So much for sainthood. I looked at my reflection again this time, not with confusion, but with a quiet clarity. If I must play the saint, I said to the mirror, voice smooth as still water, then I'll be the saint they deserve, and saints don't swear. But they do lie. With a smile like a blade, I turned from the mirror. Let the game begin.